Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon. I have no time for a stupid long name Perna. Remember when everyone was talking about Joe Flacco? How he could be a good fit with the Broncos? How John Elway was a huge fan of Flacco and everyone still believed Flacco had a lot of gas left in the tank? I don't remember any of that. Have I been watching too much AAF? Did I fucking miss something here? I thought Elway had gone from 6 to midnight for Drew Lock. Somebody please make me feel better about this Denver Broncos trade for Joe Flacco.
I think Joe Flacco is actually a very elite quarterback. He won a Super Bowl. He did it really to a certain extent with that great arm of his. I would say absolutely he is an elite quarterback.
I think Joe Flacco is actually a very elite quarterback.
Full circle. That does not help. At least Obama knew sports. Can't argue that. Let's get sports. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for continued breaking football news coverage. Question: are you excited to count down the minutes until Joe Flacco to Denver becomes an official trade? Well, the only way you can do that is with not one, but 2 luxury watches from Vincero. 28 days, 2 hours, 37 minutes, and 18 seconds. 28 days, 2 hours, 37 minutes, and 14 seconds. And this episode is sponsored by Vincero. You can use the discount link in my description or my promo code GOODSPORTS for 15% off your order. Vincero makes uniquely designed, high-quality watches that don't cost an arm and a leg, which it would be really hard to wear one of their cool watches without an arm. I have the Chrono S Matte Black and the Bellwether Silver and White. With 13,500 plus 5-star reviews on their website, you can feel good about purchasing their watches or getting your lady one of their women's watches like I did for my wife, Jess. She gets her watch tomorrow for Valentine's Day. Again, the code is GOODSPORTS and the link is in the description for your Vincero timepiece. My Twitter trends today were as follows: Broncos, Flacco, Elway, Keenum, Ravens, Demaryius Thomas, Peyton Manning, and at the bottom, Brock Osweiler. I had to check the newspaper to make sure Jose Canseco didn't take me back in time to the year 2012. When I found no newspaper, which I canceled in 2013, I knew today was, in fact, today. And the news is true. It is real, it is not fake. The Broncos have agreed, in principle, to trade for Joe Flacco once the new league year starts on March 13th. If March 13th is a Friday, then it's safe to say this is a match made in hell, which only works if you're the Patriots and Bill Belichick is finalizing deals with a fountain pen filled with puppy blood. Now apparently, Denver's giving up a mid-round pick for Joe Flacco. I really hope Case Keenum's nickname is mid-round pick. Does this mean Keenum is getting cut? Does this mean the Broncos won't draft a QB in April's draft? What the fuck does any of this mean? Those are my questions, and I'm gonna try to answer them. But this is the Super Bowl MVP quarterback everybody wanted, and since God now hates Broncos fans, this is the Super Bowl MVP quarterback we got. The Broncos and Ravens are not allowed to talk about this trade publicly until the new league year starts, so we will learn nothing from them. Joe Flacco is actually an amazing quarterback once he gets into the playoffs. His only problem is he can no longer get to the playoffs. He's like a bizarro Peyton Manning. Terrible in the regular season, great in the postseason. Maybe the plan is to ride Keenum to the playoffs and then get Flacco in there to finish it off. I'm sure that's what they're thinking. One thing that does make sense is Joe Flacco has already had his mug, his face, on the Broncos stadium. Joe Flacco is going to buy the stadium naming rights and appropriately call it Raheem Made All of My Dreams Come True More Field. At Mile High, of course. Historically, Joe Flacco banners have not happily coexisted with Broncos fans. Remember when this dude tore down the 16th Street Flacco banners?
Oh.
Yeah! Woo! Woo! I think like everyone else, I'm not sure how to feel about this right now. Denver traded for a quarterback that hasn't been good since probably 2014, when he lost to the Patriots in the divisional round and turned down for what was one of the most popular songs on earth. Maybe like that song, Joe Flacco can get my pants doing this. Beyonce's Drunken Love was also a smash hit in 2014, which is fitting, as drunk is what I'll probably have to be to love Joe Flacco. And even if he hoists the Lombardi Trophy for the Broncos, he will never look as good as Beyonce doing it. And I say that admitting Joe Flacco is a handsome man. Now, since 2014, Flacco went 3-7, 8-8, 9-7, and last year he went 4-5 before getting hurt. He was replaced by a quarterback who never threw for more than 204 yards in a game and completed 48.3% of his passes in the playoffs against the Chargers, which is low even by a quarterback who played in the 80s standards. I don't know that this is really an upgrade from Case Keenum, unless the Broncos are counting on Flacco to play much better with the change of scenery. Another thing, this trade would have made more sense had Gary Kubiak stayed as offensive coordinator, considering Flacco had his best statistical season in 2014, throwing 27 touchdowns with Kubiak calling the plays. I heard a Baltimore sports writer on 104.3 The Fan today say something like, "The concern with Flacco has always been how he sees the field from a mental perspective. He struggles to make the right reads and identify defenses, which for a 34-year-old quarterback should be the least of his problems. He should have mastered that part of the game by now." I should know, I'm 34 as well. Here's my list of Flacco concerns. Will Flacco be too tall and have to bend down too far to hand the ball off to Phillip Lindsay? Who will be on the Torrey Smith end of all the pass interference plays? Will people buy the hashtag #FlackingOff shirts I will inevitably make? Flacco at 6'6" leads the league in batted passes. Joe Flacco has never been selected to a Pro Bowl. Trevor Siemian was technically selected to a Pro Bowl. Joe Flacco still would only be second in the AFC West with 5 children. Besides his 127 touchdown season with Cougs, Flacco hovers right around 20 TD passes per year, which is exactly where the Broncos have been the last 3 seasons. I think Matt Harmon's tweet sums up what we feel about this trade right now. Or is Will Kane calling Joe Flacco a part of the treadmill of mediocrity a better burn? Joe Flacco once threw 5 touchdowns in 16 minutes against the Bucs. Doesn't sound like a concern until you remember that was 2014. Now that I got all of those off my chest, here's what makes sense about this trade. Per Pro Football Focus, Joe Flacco is statistically more handsome than Case Keenum. Not as important, but relevant. New head coach Vic Fangio spent a season in Baltimore where Joe Flacco was quarterback. So at least Fangio has some sort of gauge as to who Flacco is behind closed doors. Plus, another Italian man on the Broncos roster, Fangio, Scangarello, Donatello, Flacco. Could the next name up be Perna? Things are finally looking up for Perna. Bring me in, Elway. I can actually make Flacco elite. Joe Flacco, of course, plays his best football against the Broncos. Last season, his highest PFF grade came in Week 3 when he beat Denver. And from the 2012 season in the playoffs, his 331 passing yards in Denver were the most in a single game for Flacco that postseason. Just imagine how great he can play if his home is Denver. I'm assuming Denver will cut Case Keenum, and giving up a 3rd or 4th round pick for a QB who is probably a little better than Case isn't necessarily a bad thing. The only 2 teams that have been able to stop the Patriots in the playoffs are 1, the Broncos, and 2, the Ravens. Now they're coming together, which basically doubles their chances against New England. The Broncos won't win the Super Bowl next year, but they may. They may be the only reason that the Patriots don't. In terms of money, Flacco will make $18.5 million in 2019, which is $2.5 million less than Keenum's supposed to make with the Broncos. Even that could change, as Denver may ask Joe to rework his contract. So financially, this can put Denver in a better position, even if Denver cuts Keenum and takes his $10 million in dead cap money, as that would free up $21 million in living cap money, which, without a reworking of Flacco's contract, would free up $2.5 million for Denver. Like Flacco to Keenum, slightly better. We can only speculate what this means until it actually happens, but before you freak out, what I think this means is the Broncos believe Flacco is better than Case, and so do I, slightly. So they slightly upgrade their QB, probably cut, or if they're lucky, trade Case Keenum, and then still draft a QB this year. Signing Flacco does not mean this is the Broncos guy moving forward like we all hoped the Keenum signing would mean last year. This is just one of those Band-Aids Vic Fangio said he didn't want to use on this team. Plus, Joe Flacco is trained perfectly to be the starting quarterback while he waits for a rookie to take his job mid-season. Nobody played that role better than Flacco in 2018. Now quickly, in other Broncos news, Demaryius Thomas was released by the Houston Texans yesterday. The 4th rounder Denver got for sending Thomas to Houston is what they gave up to get Flacco. Basically, if you were ever a banner on the Broncos stadium, something big happened to you this week. Now, I'm not sure if DT will retire, but if he does, expect him to sign a one-day contract to retire a Bronco. Tough call for DT though when you think about it, who played 125 games as a Bronco and 7 as a Texan. But I feel confident, hell bold enough to say DT will end his career in orange and blue. Well, it would be cool to watch DT tear it up with the Apollos. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, @BrandonPerna. Give my writing partner, @WillKey6 a follow on Twitter, and I will have the AAF prediction game video up tomorrow, Thursday. Do you like the Flacco trade? Let me know. Let me know in the comments.